Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new show called Trash Talk. Um, First things first. So, I've wanted to do a number of things for a while. I've wanted to do Let's Plays for, gosh, almost since I started doing videos in this channel and everything. I just never really had the technology to do it. I don't really have the money, or the capital, I guess, to invest in capture cards and all that fun stuff, and it's just simply not on the cards. And I've wanted to do a podcast for a while. The problem is that most of the people that I could podcast with live about an hour and a half away. And yeah, there's Skype and all that sort of stuff, but it's not really feasible. And I've done podcasts with Skype before, and my internet connection sucks. It's one of those things where it just doesn't work out very well, unfortunately. But I've still wanted to do these things for a while. So I've been sitting back and I've been, okay, what can I do to just expand a little bit? If you remember, if you have watched my content for a while, you know that I used to do 2 videos a week. And while I enjoyed, sorry, I'm professional, big yawn. While I've enjoyed, at the time doing 2 videos at a time or per week or whatever, it just got to the point where it was too much. Now, granted, it's not too much in the grand scheme of things. The point that I'm saying is that there's only so much news that happens in a week, and while, yes, there's plenty of stuff to talk about, some of it's a lot more difficult to just talk myself about. Say, for instance, if something comes out where it's stuff about the new Batman script, which I'm going to be doing a video about shortly and talking about that, like, that's fine. I can vamp on that for 10 minutes. It's a little more difficult to do when it's just, me, but it's a lot easier to do if you have another person. And, so I've wanted to do a podcast for a long time, but the problem is, like I said, people living far away, and I can't do no podcast, which is unfortunate because I miss doing it. But, that's just not on the cards right now. I'm in very early preliminary thoughts on getting a podcast going. It won't be really regular, but more on that later. But as I was saying, I've wanted to do both these things for a long time, and I thought to myself, okay, I want to do something new. I want to go back to putting out 2 videos a week. And so I've, looking at other people, like, how do they structure their content, which is something that I think is interesting. You look at the way that people do things, and you're like, okay, who are the most, not even necessarily popular, but who are the ones that put out a steady stream of just good content? And if my yawn is to go by anything, you're not getting quality content from here. I mean, you're not even getting a new game. You're just watching a PS4 capture of me playing The Division last night. And it's just, it's just the way it works. I'm not the best player of video games. Far from it. In fact, I'm really terrible at them. But this is the thing, like I said, I enjoyed Let's Plays. And I was looking at, various shows. One of my influences, very recently, has been Jim Sterling, which, if you don't follow him at all, you should change that and go follow him. He's fantastic at what he does, really smart and awesome. And I thought to myself, I like the style of Let's Play that he does, where he narrates over it, and that it is pre-captured footage. And I think what I like about that is that, to me, with a Let's Play, and sort of like, you're almost trying to perform and be like, oh, I have to capture, the coolness of this game or whatever, like, make it exciting for the viewer. And then there are other Let's Plays where it's like, I think of, Rooster Teeth's Let's Plays, like, from Achievement Hunter and that sort of stuff, where it's all like, oh no, these are just, like, really fun, like, these are pieces of entertainment that we're watching. But what I like specifically about his Let's Plays is that they're much more real to me. That, when I want to watch a game and see what it looks like, more times than not, I go to Twitch, because I want to see what this game really looks like in a moment-to-moment gameplay, whereas even a Let's Play is like, it's going to be somewhat manufactured, because you're like, oh, I'm playing it, whatever, but there is that mindset of, like, I have to make this entertaining. So that's what I appreciate about his, is that he narrates over just gameplay that he's playing over, and I think that that's a very unique sort of thing. Another influence for this is on IGN. I'm not sure if they do it still, But Bobby Amos, who works there, he had a show for a while just called, I think it was Bobby in 1984, and I watched it every week that it was on, or at least that I saw it. And what I really appreciated about that particular like style of Let's Play is that he would play, just matches of Call of Duty, but he just talked over whatever, he talked about whatever he wanted over it. And I really like that because I was like, oh, this is cool, like this is laid back, like just kind of hanging out, like, and he's talking about it as he's playing. So I thought, well, why don't I just meld the two, where I'll play a game and it might not always be the newest game, but perhaps even, like, for instance, you'll see like little things later, like Horizon's coming out. I'm planning on doing at least an impressions or review or whatever. I'll have gameplay of my own gameplay of that up, and maybe a Let's Play of that as well, kind of go in further about it. But with this, it's just sort of like, okay, cool. This is just kind of me just hanging out, testing out, like doing a one-person podcast that's really short while a game's going on, which I don't think, granted, I'm not sure, I don't think I've really been done before. And so I kind of like the idea of, oh dear, I'm sorry. I'm just getting over a really bad, like, stomach and head cold sort of thing. And so I'm a really sleepy boy, and, it's funny. I'll talk a little bit about, just the whole, I'm definitely not the most cut out for all this work, but this is the reason why I continue to do it and try and do it, is that, with Mind Garbage is a little different because I have a general idea of what I want to talk about when I go into something, where I'm like, oh, for instance, a couple weeks ago when I did a curation video, I knew the points that I wanted to hit in that video and certain things that I wanted to talk about. Even Ghost Recon Wildlands, which, you saw it a couple days ago, I didn't really put a ton of like editing power into it. Granted, I was sick when I recorded it, and so it was like, I just need to get this done and out of the way. And, it's not like it's, any less quality of what I put out. It's certainly more quality than certain episodes. Maybe less than others, who knows. But the point is that I have a general idea of what I, want to talk about and say and everything. This is really like a different experiment for me. The reason why is, like I've said before, I loved podcasting way back when I'd done it. I think going on almost 2 years ago now. And the thing that I enjoy so much about it is just getting to talk about anything and everything. I had actually, full disclosure, I recorded like a little thing yesterday, and it was kind of just like a test one, and I was getting trailed off on a random story of mine, and that was something that I miss about podcasting, because the thing that's so fun about having a podcast and talking is that you're catching a conversation in the wild, which is something that I think is unique to that entertainment medium. Whereas like a movie or a TV show, like a movie especially is produced, but even something like Seinfeld, like, which is pretty much just them doing their normal every day-to-day life, you get to be a part of it in a way, which I think is unique to television. But it's so different with podcasting, because even like Kevin Smith and Scott Mosier's podcast that they do together, that's like you're in the room with them as they're just hanging out talking, and it's two guys that know each other incredibly well, which I think is unique to, like I said, unique to the podcast medium. As far as expanding this goes, I'm not really sure. Who knows? I could perhaps integrate footage of me talking or whatnot. The problem is I'm dealing with such limited technology. If you knew what I am recording all of this on, you might, in a small way, be like a little blown away and be like, oh, okay, well then this makes sense why it sounds so terrible and awful. And you might, you might cut me some slack in that way. Maybe not. Maybe you just yell and scream at me, which I understand. You're very much welcome to do that. I expect I'll get yelled at in these comments. Why not? Or none. That's even the worst. That's worse, honestly, is just no comments. Even if someone's like, hey, you suck, yeah, you feel that way, but no one's telling me anything. I don't know, but I guess I'm just gonna keep doing it. Yeah, so I guess I'll talk a little bit about The Division. So if you remember a while ago, I mean, gosh, it would be almost a year ago, I put out a video talking about my initial thoughts of the beta. So I'm about, I want to say 5-6 hours into the game. This is like super early, like maybe within the first hour and a half, I would say. And, you know, overall, I'd say The Division is not a bad game. Like, I think there's definitely a mark of quality in the game. And there's moments where I've been like walking around in the open world like, man, this is actually like really pretty and really gorgeous. And I think there's excellent world building. The problem that I'm finding is that the game is just unbalanced as hell. And granted, I know I'm speaking this as someone who is not very good at games. There's certain games that I am really good at. For example, stealth action genre. I'm quite excellent at the stealth action genre. But this is, you know, something that I've thinking like this game, it feels like in a way, and I don't mean like as a direct comparison, it's a lot like Final Fantasy with guns or something like that, where it's like this game's a lot more RPG than I think people would give it credit for. I mean, you're looking at it now and like it looks like a typical third-person shooter, but the way it handles, it's like, oh no, this is something a little bit different. And I think that's both good and bad into it. The bad part, I feel like, is that there's just moments where it's just kind of, it just feels unbalanced. Like I'll be behind cover completely and somehow people still just kill me. Like even right there, like granted he probably threw a grenade or something at me, but it was just like, oh, come on man. The good parts about it though, I do think are very strong. And granted, you know, like I said, I'm pretty early overall into the game. I played a lot of the beta when it was out on PS4. I think that was I don't think I got into the closed beta. Definitely into the open beta. I know that for sure. And played a lot of co-op, went into the Dark Zone and all that sort of stuff. And it's like I'm saying, I think there are things here that are great ideas. I need more time with it. And I almost feel kind of bad because this game's kind of just like bridging the gap between me and Horizon, which is the next game coming out that I'm like super excited about. There's other stuff too that I wanted to get to, like Resident Evil 7 and Gravity Rush 2 and Yakuza 0, Neo, all these kind of, you can see I got stuck in a garbage can because, like I said, I'm not great at these video games. But there's just like a lot of games coming out right now, and I'm like, it's almost not law of diminishing returns, but it's sort of like there's so much good stuff going out that I don't want to start it because the two big things like this and Horizon and Mass Effect are what I really care about, and it's like, I gotta get prepared for those. But yeah, you know, thank you very much for watching. This is the first step in a new series. I know, a little bit awkward, but we'll get there. Appreciate you very much for watching. If you'd like, you can follow me on Twitter at EricMyers93. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys next week. Have a wonderful weekend.